project, new parts bike. Actually, it's an old parts bike. This one came in a group buy. I bought 3 at one time, and this was the worst of the 3. The other 2 are already up and running. This one I have not looked at. I don't know what's wrong with it, other than it looks like this. We'll find out how deep the ugly goes on this one. So what do we have here? We have a 200cc Big Red. This is a 8283. You can tell by that. By this sub-transmission that's right here, gives you high and low. Okay, it is not shaft drive, it's chain drive, which is, this actually is a bike that guys will want to lift up. This is equivalent to, it's actually better than a 200M from the standpoint is you have the low gear. You can lift this up, put big tires on it, and you can ride it around in low range and just kind of disregard the high range. That said, you can also put a larger sprocket. There's a couple companies that are making large sprockets for these. I don't know anything about this one, so we're going to kind of find out together. It looks complete. I talked about bikes looking complete. The more complete a bike you can find one, the better. For a parts bike, this is excellent. Frame is in good shape. We talk about frames here in the South. It depends on where the bike was sitting. If the lower part of the frame here, if that bottom part of the frame was sitting in the sand or in the dirt, if it wasn't clean when it got parked, if it had a lot of debris in it, the frame would have rotted out. But this frame is actually really good. It's a shame we're not going to use it. I'm not going to save this bike. Like I said, it was part of a package deal. It came with 2 other bikes. Here's our oil, first time looking at it. It's black, but it's got plenty in it, and there's no water in it, so that's good. Spark plug is a big thing to look for. You see a bike that doesn't have a spark plug in it, chances are there's probably water down inside the cylinder. Rain finds its way in there. Things to note, this is our decompression system here. It is functioning as it should. Nobody's monkeyed with it, so that's good. The muffler is gone, but that's okay. We're going to replace those anyway. But like we talked about, the more complete an engine, and that also means the more complete the wiring harness. You see this one's missing handlebars and all the controls in the top, but the main harness is still here. And if you look really close, all the connections are here. They haven't been cut. Nobody's come after it with a pocket knife or anything like that, except for this one here, and that went up to the key. But at the harness, at the main harness, all the connectors are still there, so it'd be very easy to plug in another set of handlebars and another set of controls. You see here that we are missing the wires coming out of this rotor and the pickup. More than likely somebody's probably stole the pickup out of it. That's really common. That's the first thing people go to. Our plug is here for our CDI box with the CDIs gone, and the coil is gone. So overall, excellent parts bike. If I had to put $1 on what I paid for this, considering what I paid for the other 2, this one was free, and it's hard to beat free. The battery's present, which is fine because that just keeps all the wires together. Here we have our, look at that, how about that? We got a gear shifter, cool. Thought we were missing that. So back here we have our fuse, we have our regulator, and we have our relay. So it's a good thing. This is an electric start bike. This is what we want for our 200XE project. We're going to have to come up with a name for that. I guess it'd be a 200EX. That would work. Kind of pay homage to the 300EX. All right. Well, I'm going to have to talk up. Y'all going to have to deal with a little rain. This is Florida. This is our little secret down here. It rains here every day. I'm just teasing. Don't tell that. Nobody will come here. It rains almost every day. There you go. So basically my first step always on a new engine, something that I haven't looked at, I want to make sure it turns over. You always want to make sure that the engine's free before you invest a lot more time and effort into it. If this motor's locked up and I can't spin it, then we may go ahead and pull it right out of the frame. It's coming out of the frame anyway, but normally I would test it first in the frame, get it running, dial it in, and then pull it out. So let's see what we got going here. I've pulled the spark plug out. It looks really good. Yeah, it's black, it's old, it's 30 something years old. But it's not smut covered, it's not dripping with oil. Everything that this plug is telling me is this motor was running good when it quit. We just got to figure out why it quit. So that's an original tire to this bike. That's a good sign that this bike wasn't ridden that much. This tire was probably, and this is kind of playing a detective game, this tire was probably on the front and the other two tires were replaced and they are a match pair. That would be another indicator that it hasn't been ridden that much. Now this is a cause for alarm. Look here, chain actually broke. There's the other end of the chain right there. So that is probably what sidelined this bike. And that is awesome if that's what this is. If somebody was riding this bike and they broke the chain and they parked it, and I got to tell you, backstory, the guy that owned this bike had 6 of these, and I ended up with 3 of them. So more than likely, the chain broke on this one. It got pushed to the side. Something else probably happened to it along the way, and it became a parts bike for the other 5, which means this motor could be a low mileage motor. It could be a low mileage bike. That's what we're going to hope for. That's all we can hope for at this point. The reason I pull the plug out is now the moment of truth is I want to spin this engine over, and it's got to make a full revolution to make sure that it's not locked up, and we're turning good here. Okay, so that's a great sign. The chain being broke, I really can't test the transmission. I do know that the lever is not locked up, so that's good. This is going to be our engine or our drive line for the 200X project. I talked about it in an earlier video. I'm excited about it. 84 200X. She's rough, but she's got all the right parts in all the right places. Brakes are both intact. They don't work, but they're both, the rotors are there, the calipers are there. Front suspension cycles, rear suspension cycles. So we are going to make a 200XE. And so we're going to put these two junkers together and we're going to make us a nice running, riding, electric start 200X. So now let's see if we can make this bike run. Well, we got a problem. So I put a carb on it, put a CDI, put a coil. We have good spark. That's good. Clean the plug up. The plug looks really good. Good spark. Timing's right, but we don't have any compression. Kind of saw, you know, something's going on here. I didn't see that coming. I really didn't. Compression is, well, I'm going to show it to you, and that way you'll kind of know what I'm dealing with too. I've got an idea. Well, what are we dealing with? We've either got collapsed rings, but this bike doesn't look like it's been run that much. Generally, you'll get that with just an enormous amount of wear, or maybe just a ring that had a flaw in its casting. Maybe, you know, things happen. So I verified that the valves they were a little loose, but not out of tolerances. So the valves are cycling. If you look really close, take a flashlight, a really bright flashlight, and pull the spark plug out and roll the engine by hand really slow, you can actually see the intake valve come down and then go back up into the head, and you can see the exhaust valve come down. It's a little smaller. It'll come down and then it'll go back up, and actually you can look on the back side of those valves just a little bit, but both of them are clean. They're not caked up with smut and carbon and stuff. So it's really weird. I think I got an idea what we're going to find, but I'm going to show you the compression test first, and so you'll know what we're dealing with. So I've got our gauge set up. I'm going to go ahead and hot wire the bike and get it to spin over for you. Again, your choke needs to be open or off, and your throttle needs to be wide open. I've got the throttle just kind of rigged up here in my hand, but you'll see what we're talking about. Here we go. So I've adjusted both valves, and we've got 35 PSI. Minimum is about 75 PSI for any 4-stroke engine to run. But that's what we've got. We've got about 40 PSI. All right, we got bad news. she's not gonna run. Compression is still down around 35. I've tried a few tricks. I really can't get the compression up. Minimum for the small engine to run is about 75, 80 compression. So it's good. It's better to take the time now and find out that there's a problem, as opposed to getting it all cleaned up, sticking it in another frame, and then wondering why it doesn't work. Here in the original chassis, original wiring harness, it's a lot easier to try to diagnose what the problem is. This harness is good, so we're going to transfer it over to the new chassis. Just between taking it out and sticking it in the other bike, we're going to tear it down and find out why the compression is what it is. I'm guessing at this point it's probably going to be a head gasket. I don't know that yet. We won't know until we tear it down, but I'd rather know now than later. This is the bike that I'm willing to part with or to cut up. I've got others out there that has the same engine in it, but I don't want to tear those apart. So I'm going to put this on time lapse, and you're just going to watch me tear this apart and kind of process out what I want to keep off of it right now. Basically, we're just going to pull the engine out of it. I'll leave the harness on the chassis. As for what's going to be kept from this, I may cut out the battery box. We may try to utilize that in the other chassis. We got any of them spotter folks out there? Look at that thing. That thing is furry. Don't touch that. Anybody knows what kind of spotter that is, put it in the comments. We're not gonna mess with it. I don't like spiders. Actually, spiders don't bother me. Snakes bother me. You see a snake pop out of this bike, I'm out of here. You can have it. Cool. I haven't really looked at this bike a lot. It came in with the 185S that we did the Will It Run video with. I kind of just glanced at this one. A couple things though. It's always good that you have this element. This element here, this is what the air filter sits on. This bolt and this little bracket. Airbox just in general. If you are out and a bike does not have an airbox, ask the seller, hey, you got an airbox? Because a lot of people will take these off. They think they're going to increase the performance, and they try, and they might get half a horsepower or something out of it. It's just not worth doing. Yeah, I know you can run without the lid, and you can put a bigger jet in the carburetor, and that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, it's still a 200cc bike. It's only going to do what a 200cc bike will do. It's better to enjoy what you have as it is than ruin it, make it hard to start, make it where it doesn't run when it's cold outside. It's just not worth it. That's the old man in me. Sorry, when I was a kid, I used to monkey with everything. But as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate leaving stuff alone or putting it back the way it was. Don't tell my parents I said that, because they probably wouldn't believe it come out of my mouth. So here we go. This is the original clutch. Remember, the 200X was a clutch bike. You had a clutch cable coming up. This was a two-part assembly. You had a parking brake at the top. Then you had you would engage it like you would, what's interesting, you would engage the parking brake like you would reverse on a Big Red. It's kind of interesting they were able to use the same design. You push this down, you pull the cam over, that would pick up this dog underneath it. You would lock the brake down, and then the spacer would fall in between and keep tension on the cables. Real simple system, but it worked. And so that was your parking brake. And if you follow that cable, it actually goes all the way around here to the back. So this bike came with parking brakes. So I'm just processing this down. I'm taking, getting all the big parts off of it. I'm going to keep it as a roller just to make it easier to move around the shop. I know I am not going to be, we know we're not using the original engine. And so one of the problems that you run into, it's an easy fix, but the original engine had an embossing for the brake pedal. And so when you don't use the original engine, you don't have the brake pedal pivot point. And so the problem with that is you gotta have brakes. So what I've been able to come up with, and I read it on another forum, I didn't invent it or anything, was running the dual master cylinders. And that works really well. You just have to remember to use your hands and instead of using your feet, which is a little learning curve. You certainly want to pay attention when you're riding it until you get used to it. If it was the only bike you had, and it was that way, you'd figure it out and you'd remember real quick. I have so many of these around here. I'm constantly moving around, and it's real easy to kind of forget which one you're on. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to keep this brake system intact, and because we will be using part of it, but not all of it. And there's guys out there that they're restoring these bikes, or they just need a part and they want the original part. This is an opportunity if if you're making something a custom, if you will, you don't care that your bike is original. This is an opportunity to recoup some of your investment. I know for a fact that I can take and sell this brake assembly here. Somebody give you 25, 30 bucks just because it's an original. It needs to be reconditioned, of course, but it's original parts. And so there's value in everything. So when you do the Auto X swap, you're going to lose, or you're going to need a brake line that goes a hydraulic brake line from the handle all the way down, which they're available. Any of your pit bikes, they all have hydraulic brakes for the most part. And so you can get those cables, hoses online, it's no big deal. But that is an original brake assembly. So I was talking about keeping this bracket for this headlight, our original wiring harness. So we're going to hold on to this bracket and this little wire bale here, keep all that together. And we'll use that, if nothing else, we'll use it to take measurements for a new bracket. Trash. People ask me, well, why do you only work on Hondas? And this is why. Because when you tear one of these bikes down, and you don't have a single broken bolt or stripped thread, or it just comes apart like it's supposed to. This bike is 35, 36 years old. It's 84, somebody do the math, 6, 7, 37 years old. This bike's 37 years old. I got it out of a junkyard. I'll repeat that. This bike came out of a junkyard. So you know it's not been taken care of. Yet it comes apart just as easy as something that's made today. That's why I deal with Hondas. The quality of the materials, it just, when I break bolts off, it's not because Honda put them on wrong. It's because somebody along the way put the wrong bolt in there. Or somebody took that bolt out, put it back in and cross-threaded it. And that's why I deal with it. And I know somebody's going, well, Yamaha's the same way, and they may be. They may be. I've had a couple. I found it to be more true with Hondas. So I'm equal opportunity around here. I've had probably one, or if not multiples of all of them. This channel thing keeps growing. I'll get my scrapbook out and show you the bikes that I have had. A little bit of everything. Well, there we go. We have definitely spent the evening out here, probably 2 hours. Now, it's not completely disassembled. It's not ready to go to a powder coater. We still got our spider. Anybody that's Spider fan, Spider-Man's still here. The frame will not fit in my sandblast cabinet, even if I tear it all the way down. And that's a shame, because I'd kind of like to do that. Some things I'm planning. So here's the tank. I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to paint it, but I'm going to tell you I'm going to try to paint it. It's rough. Now there's no holes in it. If you look here inside the tank, it's not good, but it's not terrible either. It's been coated. Someone's put a one of those tank coaters in it. So tomorrow I'm gonna get up early. If you look all the way in the back, you can still see where the coating was or is, but I don't see any rust. As in, there's surface rust in there, but not like some that I've seen. I've seen it literally just stacked up in there. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna run to the store and get some of that tank cleaner. I've had good luck with Metal Rescue, so I'm gonna try that. And we're gonna tumble the tank with some timing chain and some nuts and bolts and stuff. It's got this one real bad dent in it right here. It's a little character. That kind of stuff doesn't really bother me that much. This wing or fairing, it's got a hole in it, or got a broken spot. The other one looks good. Remember, junkyard. So you can't be too picky about stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to save this tank. I've got a paint job for it. I'm gonna try to paint it. I've got some paint in the mail. Excuse the mess. So here's what I'm thinking. I like POR 15 or POR 15. Everybody tells me I say it wrong. So there's white. That'd be tank color. There's safety red. That's as most red as they make. I hope it's gonna be a good red. And then I got a little bit of engine black. So that's the plan here. This allows me a couple of different options. The POR product, POR 15, however they say it. It's not cheap, but it is really a good product, and it does stay on there really well. It will cover up, surface rust, and that won't keep it from sticking. So if I miss an area with a wire wheel, it won't tell on me too bad. But that's the plan. Engine paint, we're gonna paint the engine black so it looks like a 200X engine still. We're gonna paint the tank white, and we're gonna paint the frame and chassis red. And then what I think I'm gonna do is gonna continue that through and go with red fenders on it. I got a few other surprises I'm not gonna tell you about, but we'll when I get there, you'll see it. I gotta tell you, this is why I bought this bike. The guy sent me a picture of these back tires, and I've never seen that pattern before. And I said, you've got to be kidding me, that thing is fat. And so I'm a tire guy. The right wheel and tire on something, to me, makes all the difference in the world. And unfortunately, these are pretty roached out tires. But when I saw those, I could just imagine how nice that bike would be, or could be, spinning those big fat tires on the back of it. And so I don't think I can save those. I don't think tubes is going to work on this bike. I think the tires are probably too far gone. But we're going to try. We're going to try something. But that's why I bought this bike. That and it's a 200X. So that's it. That's as far as I think I'm going to take it down tonight. All right. Well, this is going to be part one. This is going to be tear down. We've tore down two bikes tonight. We tore down our 83 Honda Big Red, which is a 200cc engine. That motor is going to have to be gone through. It's got, for whatever reason, extremely low compressions, 35, 40 PSI. I'm thinking it's going to be a head gasket. It's one of those things you chance when you grab a bike out of the junkyard and you know, see what you have. So we're going to tear the motor down. We're going to put a new piston in it, shindy piston, new ring pack, new gasket kit, and we'll build that engine back up. It'll be a nice bike. We'll put new valve stems and seats in it. This bike, I think, should be 3 or 4 videos. So this is one, tear down. I'll build the engine, I'll paint it, and so that'll be 2, and then 3 we'll do final assembly and go for a ride. I think that'll be the plan. As always, if you need parts, go into the description of this video or any of my other videos, and I'm constantly adding and updating that list. So when I find a good deal on something, I pass it on to y'all. If you go in there, you need an air filter, tires, or oil, or petcocks, and just all kinds of stuff. As I need parts, I add it to the bottom of that list. My plan is you will have a Rolodex, basically, of parts. Anything that you really need from a wear item, anything from a 185S all the way up to a 200X. I don't know, there'll be some 250 SX parts and 250 Big Red clutches and things that's already in there from the previous video. So be sure and check out the description. Use those links if you need something. Pennies add up to make dollars. And so I try to watch them all, but this is definitely going to need a lot of parts and a lot of work. But I think we can do it in 3 videos. And I think when we get done, we're going to have a nice bike. I just keep an eye on that spider. So I told you, spiders don't bother me near as bad as snakes. So as long as you don't see a snake flying around over here, we'll be all right. But I think it's going to be a nice bike. I really do. I think I'm gonna be proud to own this one. Plus, I get to build it with y'all. So there you go. That'll be something. Everything else you see around here, I built before I started the channel. So this will be something that we'll kind of do together, and I think we'll have a lot of fun with it. We're gonna need a muffler too, aren't we? Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. We're growing every day. I wake up, I check messages, I try to answer any question that's down there. I am truly grateful for your attention and your subscribing to the channel, and it means a lot to me. And I hope that I'm giving you content that you enjoy, something that you can maybe use if you need a repair, or if you just got time to kill. That's good too. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm closing the shop up for the night, but one more thing. Around here, I name most of my toys, but this time I'm gonna let y'all name it. So you got an idea for a good name for an 84 200X? It's gonna be an Auto XE or an Auto EX. I don't know. That's what it's gonna be. Y'all figure out what y'all want to call it, what y'all want to name it, and you let me know, and then that's what we'll name it. So again, thanks for watching. Y'all have a good evening. Good night. Let's save them all. Bye.